Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show. I am your host, Dr. Will, and I am being joined today by Cazoshay, and she's joining us all the way from Alaska. I didn't even know black people were in Alaska, so it's good to know that we are everywhere.
That's right.
Awesome, awesome. So, for those who are watching the show, will you please introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. So my name is Cazoshay. I was born and raised here in Alaska, and surprisingly, there are actually a lot of Black people up here. That is a little known fact, but there are quite a few of us up here. But I am a holistic wellness professional. I teach yoga. I'm a raw vegan chef. I travel doing holistic wellness events for different communities, and I'm really happy to be on the show today.
Awesome, awesome. You're putting out the raw veganness. I am I like meat, so I try to do all right. But me and meat, we have been in a long term
Mhm.
relationship for so long.
Oh,
It's
yes. Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm. It's hard to cut those ties.
hard to say goodbyes. She's been there for me
It is. It
so
is.
many times. So,
Mm-hmm.
folks, we're talking about yoga. Okay, we're talking about yoga. Now, I tried a little something something at home because a couple of years ago my back was real stiff, so I tried
Mm-hmm.
it, did some stretches, and I don't know if it was the stretching from the yoga or the microphages or the cells, but my back got better. So we're here, and
Mm-hmm.
she's doing some. Look, when I found her on Twitter and I started looking at stuff, and I was like, oh, yoga, black people. Let's get this. Let's just get this going out. Let's share. And so she agreed to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's just get into this. What does yoga mean to you, and what originally drew you to yoga?
Mm-hmm. So yoga actually, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And the physical poses, the physical practice of yoga is actually really just a small portion of what yoga is and what it's all about. So for me, beyond the physical poses, yoga is really a way of approaching life holistically. It's about being in the present moment, wherever you're at that time. It's about carrying that peace with you wherever you go, and really looking at yourself and your body and your existence really as a whole, that everything is connected. So that's kind of what yoga represents for me. And then in terms of what drew me to it, actually, so way back when I was a really little kid, my great aunt, she was a minister and she was a yogi. She lived well into her 90s. She was from North Carolina, and so she'd come up for the summers to visit us. And so that was kind of my first exposure to it. But I never really practiced regularly because we didn't see her regularly. And then again, in high school, I've never been athletic. So I had the choice to either take a regular gym class or do yoga. And I was like, well, that's a no, obviously. That's way easier. So I did. And then I just ended up falling in love with it for the stress reduction, for the way that it made me feel physically. So, and again, I kind of was still off and on, kind of hit or miss with my practice. Until I was older, and then the opportunity came up to do training through actually a Christian school, and I'm a Christian, and so I went for it, and it's been a love relationship ever since.
Cool, cool. So on your site, I saw this. I just kept seeing these references about hip hop yoga. What is hip hop yoga?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's something in my personal goals with teaching yoga is really to make it accessible, to make health and wellness accessible to everybody. And looking around within the Black community, I just saw so much diabetes, so many health problems, and I was like, there's no reason that we should be like this. And so my goal was to make that accessible and fun for people that wouldn't necessarily consider doing yoga regularly. And I love hip hop too, so it was a natural connection for me. But so basically, what it is that it's, as the name would imply, it's set to hip hop music. And so rather than kind of holding the poses and being like really slow and meditative, it's taught it not necessarily at fast pace, but we kind of synchronize our movements to the hip hop music. And again, going back to that being in the present moment, I mean, nothing gets you in the present moment like a good hip hop song when that beat drops. So that was kind of a natural connection as well. So yeah, making that accessible to all communities, especially our African American community, was the reason that I chose hip hop to access that through yoga.
Cool. So please describe a few of the different yoga practices, their beliefs, and whether yoga is ideal for a certain body type.
Yeah, so yoga, that's actually another one of my passions, is that yoga is for literally everybody. There's no one type of person or one body type that is, ideal for yoga. There are definitely, if you have an instructor who's really serious about being accessible to everybody, there are always modifications and ways that you can make it accessible for anybody, regardless of fitness level, or even if they have injuries or, what have you. So there's literally now, since yoga's taken off, there's so many different kinds of yoga. There's Hatha, which is primarily what my style is, Hatha and Vinyasa. But Hatha is where you focus primarily on building physical and mental strength, so you kind of hold the poses for a little longer. And then Vinyasa, that's a little bit of a faster pace and kind of synchronizing your movements with your breath, which is also really good because that helps you get into that kind of that calmness, that presence, and really working on our breathing helps with all the other systems, getting everything synchronized and all that. There's literally all kinds of crazy combinations. There's even cat yoga in Portland where I live. You can go to this place where you do yoga with cats all around. There's all different kinds. And then there's some like Bikram and Ashtanga where they have certain movements. So you'll do the same movements basically in each class. You know what to expect, which is a good thing for that. But yeah, so there's a type of yoga for everybody.
Okay, so you mentioned that you like Hatha. Why is it your favorite?
Well, I like it because it's one, I feel like that's a really accessible type of yoga. There's modifications with every pose you can do with Hatha yoga. So that's one thing that I really love about it. And also, I really like the aspect of that it's building your mental and physical strength. You're in these poses, they're not necessarily as comfortable, they're not supposed to hurt, but they're a challenge. And so I appreciate that challenge aspect.
So, as your teacher, what can your students expect from you, and what are your sessions like?
So first and foremost, I like for people to have fun. That was one of the things that I really wanted to do with my community hip classes. It's like in other classes, a lot of times you come in, it's quiet, you don't talk to anybody, you're just kind of like in your zone, which is fine. That's, attractive to some kinds of people, but my sessions are fun. We talk, we laugh, we rap, it's not a silent, somber kind of a situation. And in my classes, I mix usually that Hatha and Vinyasa style. So it's a little bit of holding the poses, but then I also like to get people moving, get that little bit of cardio aspect in there. And yeah, they're just fun. I try to make a really welcoming environment for everybody. I want for everyone to feel like they're welcome, that yoga is accessible to them. So yeah, that's what people can expect in my classes.
All right, so I want to throw this out there to you. What sort of cultural barriers have you come across? Because normally when people think of yoga, they don't think of people who look like us. And so when you're saying, I want to bring yoga to our community, or even, get to a point to where you're saying, hey, yoga magazine or other places that highlight yogis, I exist, I'm here. What barriers have you come across, and what have you done to sort of break down those barriers?
That's a really good question. For the most part, it's actually been very welcoming. I think with saying, it's hip hop yoga, that's something that people are automatically interested in. That's another reason why I chose hip hop, is that it's something that really goes across all kinds of different demographics. And so that's one thing that's also important to me, is to really bring people together. I am definitely very focused on our communities, but one way I think of healing the issue that we have going on in our society is to have us come together in that same space, So in terms of barriers, I think just having people understand that, it is for Black people, it is for everybody. So I think just kind of getting the word out there, I would say, has been a barrier because it's not something that people expect to see, you know, a short little black girl from Alaska teaching yoga. I definitely don't look like the typical yogi, and that's been, for the most part, pretty widely accepted. But I think in terms of the barriers and overcoming them, just being persistent, you know, just a lot of times I've had to be the one to reach out and be like, hey, you know, this is what I'm offering. Can you help me get the word out? So persistent, and also reaching out to those within our community to say, hey, you know, this is for you as well. So spread the word. You know, it's our responsibility as well within the community to look out for each other and to help each of us, you know, make it to that good, healthy spot. So yeah, I'd say being persistent and getting the word out has been the best way to overcome the barrier so far.
Okay, so when considering a yoga practice, what qualities should someone look for in a yoga teacher?
That's a good question too. So first, looking for someone who's certified through Yoga Alliance, because there are a lot of situations where people have said that they're, you know, yoga teachers, but without being credentialed through that governing body, you don't know what you're getting into. You want to make sure that someone who's credible and experienced and has the knowledge first and foremost. So Yoga Alliance, their website has a directory of all the teachers that are actually certified through them. So that's a good place to start. And then just honestly looking for a teacher that you feel like the experience resonates with you, because it's not just about the style of yoga, you know, it's the teacher's personality, and you know, their style just might not mesh with you. It doesn't make them a bad teacher, doesn't make them a good teacher. It just may not be what, you know, is going to work out for you. So yeah, I'd say asking around, you know, seeing if anyone that you know takes the class with a certain instructor to see if that would be an experience that you want. So yeah, but first and foremost, making sure that they're credentialed. That's very important for safety reasons. That's the first thing to look for.
Okay, so I want to throw another thing out there to you. On TV, they have these, some of these sort of programs like yoga this, yoga that, yoga fitness, or you see some of these pictures of folks in Yoga Journal and all these things. Now, people look fit. They look great. Now, my question to you is that all yoga, or are people supplementing their yoga with some other stuff?
You know, I would say it's definitely supplementing with other stuff. Yoga is an awesome practice, but again, my passion is that holistic wellness. So you can do yoga 10 times a week, but if you're eating bad foods, it's not going to really be doing you any good. So definitely it's yoga, but definitely you have to supplement with living a healthy lifestyle, you know, cutting back on the stress. That's one of the biggest issues within all communities. I feel like with the health issues, it's directly related to the stress, and yoga is awesome for that. But you also have to consider the body and the person holistically. So eating good foods, getting rest, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely it all works together.
So how did you get to this vegan lifestyle? I mean, you know, I mean, I have tried. Like, I'll go through times of no sweets or no soda, or I'll cut back on or no fast food, or I'll cut back on certain things because I've actually lost 30 pounds.
Oh, congratulations!
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. But then you start getting those whispers, you know, ice cream, or certain things, or because of my work schedule,
yes,
I get off work late, and then I don't go well. I don't feel like going home and maybe cooking something I know would be more beneficial to me.
Yeah.
So I go get something else. So how did you? I mean, because vegan, that's not just, hey, I'm going to cut out Oreos. That's some whole nother level type
stuff. It's hardcore. Yeah. It's a lot of discipline.
So, I mean, how were you introduced to it, and how are you able to maintain it, particularly if you say, okay, I'm in Alaska today, but next month I may be in Portland. 3 weeks from then, I may be in California. I mean, how are you able to do all of that?
Well, it definitely takes some thought and some planning and being very intentional about it. But honestly, I don't. Growing up, we really didn't eat a lot of meat. I had a lot of allergies. I was actually allergic to beef, so that kind of cut out a whole lot of foods just right off the bat. So growing up, I don't know. It's always kind of been a way of life for us. But my family is originally from the South, so we were used to having like the fried chicken, especially like that. But I just noticed that my body felt better eating this way. And I don't necessarily encourage everybody to do veganism. I encourage them to eat more fruits and vegetables, of course, because it's good for your body. But actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with eating meat. That's totally fine. But in terms of being able to sustain it, it definitely does take some thought with my schedule. And, I'm a single mom too, so I have to kind of consider my son as well in doing the meal planning. But I think just being flexible, I'm really passionate about others to say, like, so if you go into the grocery store and, this is what's on sale or this is what's available to you, especially being in Alaska, we're very limited with what our fresh fruit, our fresh produce is that's available to us. So you got to kind of go in and be like, all right, so what can I do with what I see here? So being intentional about saying, okay, I'm going to have the discipline that even though I'm tired, I'm hungry, I don't feel like cooking, like I have to do this because this is what's going to sustain me. This is what long-term is going to be best for me and what's going to help me to keep going forward in what I'm doing. So I think, yeah, being persistent, but also being flexible, I would say. Arming yourself with that knowledge of, even what you like. If you don't like kale, don't eat kale. You can get that iron and all those other things from other vegetables if you don't like kale. So just finding out how to make it work for you, I think, is the most important thing.
Cool, cool. So, getting back to you as a teacher, how, because I found you on social media, so that's how we actually connected.
Hmm.
So, how are you
Hmm.
using social media to reach out to people?
That was kind of a process for me. I wasn't really, I wasn't honestly really on board with that initially, but everyone was like, that's the way to get the word out there. That's, what everybody is using. So it's been very instrumental in getting the word out about my classes and also just kind of letting people get to know me, as an instructor and as a person, because that is something that in looking for a teacher, you want to know about, what's their personality like, what kind of things can you expect from their classes. So especially since the hip hop yoga is a pretty new idea, so being able to post, little videos on Facebook and Twitter and having those interactions with people has been really instrumental in getting the word out about what I'm doing and making that health and wellness accessible. That's the other thing I love about it is that, if you live, even in another country, having that information available online through social media is really a good way to help people have access to that health and wellness wherever they are and whatever their schedule may be.
Awesome. Have you trademarked hip hop yoga?
No, I haven't. There are some other teachers that are also doing their version of hip hop yoga. Mine's a little different. Mine's actually a community hip hop yoga class. So, in keeping with wanting to add that community aspect and bringing people together, actually, the first 15 minutes of my class is not yoga at all. It's just a time for people to talk and interact with each other, share what's going on within their community, and then the 45 minutes after that is the actual yoga class. So no, I don't really have any plans to trademark it. I just, I want everybody to be healthy and happy. So whoever wants to jump on board with the idea, I'm fine with that.
Go ahead and trademark it so you can go ahead and make that money. I,
Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but she has that pop Pilates type thing going
Oh
on.
yeah.
She's making that
Mhm.
dough. She's making that dough. So
That's true.
let's go ahead and trademark it so we can start having hip hop yoga
Mhm.
studios pop up all around the country with the
Yes, yes.
let's get that happening. So, but before we go, I want to talk
Mhm.
about uh, whether it's that person like myself who you hear stuff, or a person who's really has decided, look, I got to do something, and yoga may be
Mhm.
it for me. How do they go about educating
Mhm.
themselves on what yoga is and isn't, and how should they go
Mhm.
about the process of sort of figuring out which practice is a better fit for
Mhm.
them?
Sure. You mentioned social media. That's a great way to go about it. To see what's out there, finding out what classes are available in your area, because it varies so much from place to place. And really just starting first class, just kind of see, you know, for the most part, I mean, yoga poses across the different types are, for the most part, generally the same. The way they're presented is what's, you know, usually the different, the differences that you can find. So just searching for a beginner's yoga class, seeing if anybody you know takes yoga classes, if there's a certain kind that they liked or a certain teacher that they enjoyed participating with. And then again, going to the Yoga Alliance website, that gives a lot of really great information, or even Yoga Journal. That's also a really good resource to find out about what the different types are about and kind of what to expect within your classes. So yeah, just finding a beginner's class and just going and trying it out. You don't really have anything to lose by going. If you don't like it, you know, there's nothing, you haven't really lost anything but an hour of your time. So, but usually 9 times out of 10, probably even more than that, you end up getting hooked.
Okay. I'm going to try it. I got to try at least one class.
Yeah.
To do it. I think one of my apprehensions was, you know, being a novice, and I've seen some of them poses, so brother not trying to get hurt. And
yeah.
and second, not that I don't know why, you know, I should be bothered by this, but I don't want to go into a class and it's like 3 dudes and 20 women.
Yeah, that's.
You know, so
That's probably going to be the case most of the time.
Oh man,
unfortunately.
Oh man. So yeah, I wanted to be somewhere where I wouldn't sort of be like the only dude up in there, you know, trying to do all that, you know, and stuff. So, yeah, my wife, you know, does it. She had told me to try something. I was like, woman, you know, I can't do all that.
That's funny.
So that was interesting. So, before again, how can people get in contact with you, learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So social media is my primary way of getting that information out there. So my website is www.didwithcazoshay.com. I also have a YouTube channel. It's going to be another way that I'm using more to get kind of more classes out there for people that want to practice at home. So that's youtube.com/DID by Shay, or also Instagram or Twitter, and that's at Cazoshay_Marie. And I love interacting with people. I love hearing people's questions and stuff. So everybody's more than welcome to contact me with any questions or any comments that they have.
Yes, folks, learn about your yoga and your vegan eating. Give her
That's right.
So thanks.
And get everybody nice and healthy and happy.
Awesome. Thank you again, Cazoshay, for being a guest on the podcast. Great information, and hopefully the viewers of the show will now have a spark and interest to pursuing yoga further. As always, this podcast is going to be on my blog. It's going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be on SoundCloud. And as always, people, be you, edu, peace.